Quick disclaimer, this is the second part of my 100 Roblox Bosses series, so I would highly recommend that you watch the first part before watching this, which I will link in the description of this video. The first part mainly goes over how I rank the bosses and other stuff regarding how I categorize them in terms of the skill sets, alongside the first 20 bosses of the series. With that being said, let's begin. His desire to become stronger was the moment he sacrificed everything for power. He lost what he was and everyone's memories, almost as if he never existed.
The only remaining option is to destroy you.
This boss is one of my hardest and favorite bosses that I've done on Roblox. Back in December 2024, I wanted to beat this boss mainly because of my friend who had beaten this prior to me, showing how the boss plays when she was grinding it out. It looked so intriguing to play, so I gave it my best shot and played Strange Plays. The first boss you had to beat, being Forgotten King, didn't take me super long, around maybe 5 to 6 hours, but oh my gosh, Lunatic King originally took me like 23.5 hours to beat. Needless to say, this boss is extremely difficult. However, it also gets consistent, which is why I was able to rebeat it on my alt account in about an hour. What makes the boss so difficult is how quick you have to be, and generally just learning the attacks. Despite the difficulty, I absolutely love this boss and I would hug it if I could. I believe if it wasn't for this boss and Nyx, I wouldn't have the same amount of love that I do for bosses. Strange Plays is one of the best boss games on Roblox and I'm so happy to be able to have the opportunity to rebeat and show this boss to y'all. I beat him. Boss fight. Since you guys suggested Eternal Towers of Hell, I went ahead and did Aradiant Guardian. I will count this as separate from Piano since Piano has its own place, it just happens to also be in Ito. As to why I chose Aradiant Guardian is because I believe Enrage, Seria, and Alcog is broken at the time that I was doing Ito for the series. This boss isn't necessarily hard, however, time has definitely made this boss harder than it was intended, with how the models can sometimes turn invisible. Nevertheless, I found this boss to be really difficult when I played the Halloween 2020 event back then, which was also kind of the consensus for a lot of people, I believe. Replaying the boss, however, and actually beating it solo was just not really hard, to be honest, and to think this is about as hard as it gets for event bosses in Ito since it's only gotten easier ever since. In summary, Aradiant free.
Got your lip with some fuck black balls over here. What the hell are you talking about? Is good video.
Oh yeah, I just beat the boss.
Let's go! GG, Ghosty. GG. I miss like that. Okay.
This boss, when I was first grinding it, was just not fun to play. However, rebeating it for the series made me like the boss a lot more than I originally did. For the time this was made, the quality is astonishing. I can respect the game for that. However, the gameplay for this boss was the one thing holding me back from loving this boss. My biggest issue, I would say, is how dark the actual fight is. I pretty much had to turn up gamma in order to actually see what is going on. Another thing is the linger, where the damage hitbox can stay for longer than what is visually shown. This has thrown me off multiple times, resulting in a lot of crash outs, which I will admit is a skill issue on my end. In short, I think this boss is awesome, however, it could definitely be improved in some aspects.
Money. I don't want to spend money.
Bro, close the battle cuts. No, leave me alone. No.
A lot, and I do mean a lot of you guys suggested this. McCool was alright, I guess. It's not a bad boss, but at the same time, it's not the greatest thing ever. I mean, I personally think Blocktails is an okay game and don't really get the hype saying it's the most underrated game on Roblox when a game has like, what, 1k active players? Enough rambling aside, McCool was the first boss I actually had to grind for the series, since I suck. The loadout I use, you can say, is kind of unorthodox, but hey, if it works, it works. Worst part of the boss, in my opinion, is when he spawns in the other dudes, which if RNG says the megaphone dudes should heal, then you're pretty much cooked. I understand you can in theory just parry all of the attacks, making the boss on a technical sense 100% skill based, but I'm not a clanker, so...
Bro, I don't get these butlers out.
Bro, I hate that this is the attempt that I win the boss, dude. Like, the one where we were talking about the jump scare. This is the attempt that wins it.
Could you repeat that? Who?
Like, who's Jackenstein?
My god, bro.
Yo, I literally never made that shit up, bro. Like,
Okay,
he's just saying
low-key,
shit.
I forgot I had a cannon. I never use
The
it.
fucking, what's it called, bro? Oh my god, dude. Hold on.
Why is my username Faithful Logical? That is not.
First off, this game is wonderful. The 6 trials that you have to go through itself was fun. However, I don't count those as part of the difficulty for the boss. The game mixes an element of difficulty, if you can even call it that, and silliness, making the experience memorable, I'd say. As for the boss itself, my biggest complaint is how long it goes for. This game holds a really special place in my heart, mainly because, for one, it was one of the first games I've ever played when I found out about Showertail's ultra hard batch list. And another thing was because the game was just generally fun to play, despite it being on that list. Although, arguably, it was one of the easiest games on that list back then, but yeah, I digress. Nevertheless, this boss is good. I didn't even think this game was gonna have a boss, considering the little thing that you have to do to even play the game at the first sequence, but hey, here we are! The Dream Survey is a game heavily inspired by Ultra Kill, only that this one has a little weird core blanket over it to make things different. This game was honestly really fun to play, however my only complaint about it is how long the sequences can get. I also like the story in the game and how you ultimately fight Warden at the end of it, where it reveals that you're a Blue Archive player. I do think this game is really underrated as it pretty much has no active player base. However, that's probably because the game didn't have replayability in mind. Do you guys remember Uuhhh.wav by chance? It was like one of those games that you played back then as a kid and you really liked the game, but then you eventually got older and just forgot about the game's title, but you still remember the game by heart. I just randomly remembered the game existed and thought, hey, this game has a boss, I should do it. Anyways, this boss isn't necessarily hard, arguably the easiest boss in the series so far. It's basically a glorified escape the blah 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 obby for half of it. However, you need to understand this was like 2018. This game I would say has definitely not aged very well, however, it still brings back small memories of when times were simpler. I do find it sad that the game has basically been abandoned and it was never finished, but oh well. This is the boss that made me drop the series for multiple months due to mind block. I'm gonna explain each and every attack since I need to demonstrate just how difficult the boss is. Rock Throw is an attack where Zyrith will summon rocks from the ground into the air. He will then chain himself into the rocks and has a chance to throw them to you. The rocks have movement prediction, and when they explode on the ground they will leave a shockwave that you must jump over. You also can't be in the explosions area. Chain Link is an attack where Zyrith will chain himself onto you and will try to damage you by exploding the moment he collides with you. This explosion will also leave a shockwave that you must jump over. Death Slash is an attack where you must roll out of the kill hitbox or else you will lose 2 lives. Zyrith will try to predict your movement here, so you must be careful to not roll into his kill hitbox. Sometimes he's able to feint this attack to throw you off, which is indicated when his eye doesn't glow red. Shadow Blast is an attack indicated by the black sigil, where he will try to predict your movement and damage you with it. Usually baiting the movement prediction works against this, but you can also roll to the side when he's about to attack. Stomp is an attack where you must jump to not get hit. You can also roll out of the way for this attack. It's indicated by a small white warning sigil. Super Stomp is an attack indicated by a large white warning sigil, where you must jump over the shockwaves caused by Zyrith. After 4 shockwaves, he will stomp a purple shockwave that you must roll over in order to not die. Chained is an attack indicated by the deflect icon, where you must press E multiple times to not get hit or roll. Getting hit by this will disable your movement for a couple seconds. Eclipse Punches is an attack indicated by the blue warning sigil. You are meant to roll or dodge the first punch and then hold E for the other punch. The second punch instantly kills you. Zyrith will enter his second phase whenever he reaches 30,000 HP, and this will introduce 2 new attacks. Vicious Slash is an attack indicated by an alarm and a purple skull above Zyrith's head. He will typically try to predict your movement and dash towards your location. You are meant to dodge or roll out of the way, however, if you get caught then you will lose 2 lives. Random Rock Throw is an attack where Zyrith will throw rocks to the ground at random directions. This attack is indicated by the black hole in the sky. Some rocks when landing will let out a shockwave that you're meant to jump over. Dodge or roll whenever a rock explodes near you so you don't get hit. Zyrith will enter his third phase when he reaches 15,000 HP, and this again will introduce 2 new attacks. For every time you reach phase 3, this string of attacks will always play out. And by the end of it, you will have to deal with this attack. Void Collapser is an attack indicated by the purple sigil. When he jumps, he will emit a shockwave which you must jump over. Whatever direction you are going after, he will throw his sword in that direction trying to predict your movement, which will then emit a shockwave. Zyrith will then dash to the sword's location and then an explosion will occur, which you must roll to dodge. After this, he will face towards you and blast everything in that direction, so you have to get out of his direction to not instantly get killed. During the blast, there's shockwaves that you have to jump over to minimize the damage. There's also the circle AoE from the blast, which you can see if you have hitboxes enabled, that give tick damage, so you ideally want to get out of the area to avoid taking further damage. Rock Follow is a variation of Rock Throw, where Zyrith will throw 9 rocks at your direction, trying to predict it. Every rock that lands on the ground, you are meant to jump over the shockwave and roll whenever the rock explodes near you. This attack is indicated with a black hole and slow moving rocks. Now that I've explained what makes this boss hard, I will say what I like and I don't like about this boss. I like that the boss is fast paced and the atmosphere of the boss, alongside the songs that go with it. Like, this boss just feels intimidating to play. Now, what I don't like about this boss is that sometimes the attacks just feel unfair at times. However, this is probably a skill issue on my end. One attack that I absolutely despise is the Rock Follow attack, which because of how slow your stamina regenerates, you would basically lose all of your stamina before you are able to dodge the next attack string. Like I've said before, this was the boss that made me drop the series for multiple months, and it's because I was extremely mind-blocked and was busy doing other stuff. Cornerstone. I like the boss for what it's for, however, my experience with it overshadows some of that enjoyment since I spent like around 16 hours on this boss. Anyways, when Zyrith reaches 1 HP, this will happen. Phase 4 will give you 1000 HP and a damage boost for 3 minutes. This will in turn also give Zyrith a million HP as he becomes distressed. You only have 1 life for this phase thanks to Death's Roar. His attacks are basically the same as phase 3, however, because of the amount of HP you have, you are able to tank some attacks. Some attacks that definitely aren't tankable are the Death Slash attack, which basically instantly kills you. You have to kill Zyrith in under 3 minutes or else you will die. This entire phase is basically a DPS check and a nerf check, so just don't lose your cool and you're good to go. I beat Zyrith! Oh my fucking god! I beat Zyrith! I fucking beat Zyrith! It's over! It's fucking over!
Congrats.
With the scourge of all souls' existence vanquished, you have acquired a powerful knowledge from such an intense battle to pick up on patterns quicker. This will be very crucial for your future fights.
The Kraken is the main antagonist of Far From Land, and the final boss of the game. If you've never played Far From Land before, it's basically a FNAF fan game and also one of the top games in Better Discovery. The Kraken is pretty much every animatronic stacked into one, where he will take on the role of the 3 main animatronics that will try to reach your vicinity. I won't go into detail that much, but essentially if the Kraken goes to the middle hall, then you're meant to hold your breath and hover your mouse over the purple glow to not die. If the Kraken spawns in this camera, then you are meant to spray him with water to make him go away. If the Kraken stays in your vent, then you are meant to go in the vent and hover your wrench over his head until he goes away. It's not only Kraken, however, as there are 2 other animatronics that will try to kill you. One is the Growler, which you must honk your horn at to make it go away. The other is Scrap. You pretty much have to leave the vent and then re-enter it when it's there. At some points in the night, you have to fix 5s in the vent when your integrity runs out. This game is one of the best games I've ever played on this platform, and this final voyage basically serves as a huge nerf check because this boss is extremely intimidating despite the gameplay being relatively easy. That was scary. I guess it's time for 30. Oh god. I glimpsed the terrible form of a god. I do not look to the skies anymore for hope. Hell has opened to swallow me whole. And so, I'm gonna need some help.
Hello everyone, I'm lukavxxl. Perhaps you may know me as one of the verifiers of Misery Metal. I'm here to explain what exactly our dear Costi is facing here. The game at hand is SirOoferOofington Presents The House, a particularly challenging round-based survival horror game that boasts Misery Metal, one of the hardest badges on Roblox. Although this time, we aren't going to be talking about that. The game holds plenty of difficult badges, but this time we are going to be talking about True Champion. We are currently located in Campaign, the standard game mode. It lasts 70 rounds, and on each round a monster spawns that you must survive for a set amount of time. The further you go, the harder the monsters get, and of course, on the final round, you face the final boss and the hardest monster, the Nightmare. This being a multiplayer game, usually you'll face this boss with many other people beside you to help, but to get this badge, you'll have to face this boss alone. Throughout the long journey you've been on to reach this point, you've seen many monsters, each being different from the other with many unique mechanics to learn and adapt to. But what if you suddenly had to face many of them in one? The round starts with two unusual versions of previously encountered monsters spawning, the Blood Sentinel and the Wasp. You must survive them for a small while before it's time to face the real challenge. As the two monsters disappear, the Nightmare comes out of the floor in the center to give you some time to prepare yourself for its onslaught. As it begins its attack, you'll quickly realize that to survive, running away isn't the only thing you have to do. The Nightmare spawns 5 totems around the map for you to collect before near the end of the round. Fail to do so, and the Nightmare will smite you. Finally, onto the Nightmare itself. As previously mentioned, facing this boss is equivalent to facing many of the monsters you faced before in one. It has many phases and a handful of additional abilities. The phases I'm talking about are actually the Nightmare mimicking monsters you faced earlier in the run. Whenever it switches phases, it will do so with a sound cue, alerting you exactly what monster it's mimicking right now. Surviving this boss normally is certainly no easy feat, but alone, it is pretty difficult. You need a solid understanding of the game's mechanics and even a spot of luck. That's the thing about this game, it can have a decent bit of RNG aspects that determine whether you're gonna go through living hell or not. In this particular case, it would be the gates that spawn around the map and block your path, the Nightmare's phases, and its totems. It can also be very tiresome to reach this point, as a full campaign run takes about 5 hours. Because of that, before the fight itself, Costi mainly had Arthur King Flopper reach round 70, since it's 5 hours, and the boss is only at round 70, By technicality, you could just join at around 69 in the middle of a run and have people leave.
The song for normal Twitchy is so good. I love it. Uh-oh.
This is a throwback to my PSYCHOCATS 2 video, which basically documents my 11-month journey to complete the entire game. Ever since that video, the game as a whole got updated, which is extremely noticeable from the different map as opposed to the footage when I first beat Twitchy EX. I won't explain the attacks too much as I did last time, but Twitchy EX has 4 attacks: Laser Beam, Rerun, Hallucinations, and Barrage. As you progress through the boss, his attacks get harder. I gotta say, replaying this boss feels really sad, since this is basically the game's last update, thanks to Roblox's god-awful attempts at trying to dick-ride investors. It's just a shame that a lot of games like PSYCHOCATS 2 had to have their plans cancelled because of the powers that be. Nevertheless, PSYCHOCATS 2 holds a special place in my heart, and I mainly have to thank the creators of PSYCHOCATS 2 for creating such a masterpiece, and TDS Fan for getting me into this game. Guardian is the final boss of Rainbow Obby, which is a remake of Omega Flowery from Undertale. The difference here is that every pattern is scripted into the fight and attacks are heavily nerfed. This game is really intriguing to me with how many references are thrown into this game. I really liked how well made the references are seeped into this game. For example, the Blocktails mini-boss. Anyways, back to the boss. There's actually a cheat for this boss, however that's extremely lame and not what I made the series for. Besides, this boss isn't even that hard to no-hit, so there's genuinely no point in cheesing. To sum up my points, the game does a really good job at remaking Omega Flowery, and arguably every other media that it references.
This segment is brought to you by sunkenxn.
Well, hello viewers, I'm Sunken, mainly known for being the current #1 taxi player in the taxi course list, granted I did kind of make the list, and I will be presenting this segment to you all. Taxi Simulator 2 is a game where you, as the name suggests, to drive a taxi, which is daily surprising, I'm fully aware, to deliver customers an empty map for money. The core objective of the game, however, is to save the world due to lore reasons that somehow manage to be deeper than most lore in games, but the entire thing about them is lore. You achieve this by reaching a grand total of 1000 deliveries, which throughout your playtime you can go to the future to see what your efforts have made the future to be. However, at 1000 deliveries something doesn't seem quite right in the future, and then you're suddenly put into a driving challenge where you must reach the end of the future before it gets destroyed by Guest 9015, one of the antagonists of the game. The future itself consists of several fragments of the regular game map, as well as worse outcomes for the future if you were to go here before 1000 deliveries. When you reach the final stretch of the course, Guest 915 will charge up a massive death laser that you must avoid by swerving on the road. If you reach the end in time, you'll end up getting rid of Guest 915 by ramming your taxi into him and saving the future, which is the end of the boss fight. But anyway, if you want to see other taxi courses, I've showcased most of the ones that exist on my channel, ranging from this one to the very hardest ones. With that being said, good luck on your journey, Casti. You're 1/3 of the way there.
Probably one of the few times I will feature a tower defense in this series, since I cannot stand playing them from zero. Arena Tower Defense is a game that I grinded because a friend of mine told me one day that he wanted to grind this game. It would take a bit, but at around June 2024 I would get Perfect Hybrid Scout, the game's completionist badge. The reason as to why I chose to do this game for the first tower defense featured in the series is really simple, and it's because I already have a lot of progress on this game. I don't really have much to say for the boss itself. Hybrid Voidlord is the last boss that you will encounter at the end of the Grandmaster field. Getting to this point of the game requires a whole lot of grinding, and after that, well, you can use this guy to basically beat the boss. And cheers to the second tower defense featured in the series, if you can even call it that. The Battle Bricks is directly inspired from the Battle Cats, but instead it's themed around Roblox. Chronos is the final boss of the Battle Bricks, being a buffed version of Ceases. The way you reach Chronos is that you have to pretty much beat the entire game on Tumor difficulty, not kinda the 2 and 3 stars of course. I obviously wasn't smart enough to figure out how to beat Chronos with my own logic, so instead I resorted to the wiki. I still tried however to play the game mostly blind, and then stage 28 Tumor happened, and I just gave up at that point. This boss is really cool, and I like how you have to interact with what the boss throws at you, that being the clock minigame. I did wish it was harder on the 1-star difficulty, but at the same time this game is kinda made for children, and I don't think they cared enough to try and solve the clock equations. Battle Bricks is honestly one of the best games I've played on this platform, even though it's basically an import of Battle Cats, but I digress. Gears is an esoteric puzzle game created by Termite King 9. This game has a lot of worlds to explore, each with their own separate challenges. At the end of every world is a boss that you have to fight. Beating certain worlds unlock other worlds, which rinse and repeat unlocks other worlds upon completing them. This is another one of those games that, again, is heavily affected by the Roblox age verification publishing requirement. What a shocker that people don't want to give their biological data to companies that have proven themselves to not care about safety whatsoever. Gears closing to me feels like a monumental landmark being desecrated all in the name of greed. Editor's note, this change has since been mitigated so that every legacy game is now locked behind 16+. It still kinda sucks that most games on Roblox are basically locked behind an age requirement. This game is honestly one of the most raw and heartfelt games I've played in recent times, and I really regret not getting into it sooner. Anyways, about the boss. The one I decided to do was Mandragora, which honestly is by random since I had to do this game quickly because of the May 19th deadline. Most of the difficulty I'd say is getting to the boss, which can take up to an hour as you can see in my unlisted video in the playlist here. The boss's attacks are that it will choose one of the 4 holes, indicated by a flame. Mandragora will then suck up the hole it will rise from and then spew out flames. What you are meant to do is use the entities that follow you around to stun Mandragora when sucking up air. You would then jump into its head to damage it. Repeat this multiple times and you're done.
And now a word from ImBadAtNamingThings.
Okay, hello, it's me, ImBadAtNamingThings. I'm the guy with the really fake annoying deep voice on the Uuhhh.wav video. Woo! Anyway, I'm here to talk to you about Mr. Chaos. He's a boss in Destination, a game I have a personal vendetta against. You see, the creator of Destination is a horrible person. Not because he like groomed a minor or anything. He just like made a really bad ARG called the Poisonous Lake. Find the cheeseburger. What the fuck is this? Some kind of sacred stop game? Fuck you, Boltoad. Mr. Chaos. He is, certainly a boss like this. He's just like Soul Says, but if he was more jolly. He's a blatant copy, but that's like kinda cool because Boltoad just went his head wherever the fuck he wanted into this game, which makes it so awesome. You see, each boss and destination grants you a unique item that you can use in other battles. It's a really cool system, and the game overall acts as a hybrid between boss fighting stages and Reason to Die. I have no issues with the game's design, I just fucking hate the creator for being an evil little bitch. The boss is cool. I'd rather talk about some of the cool items I got though. Look at this like cool candy cane, and it's my segment, so Kosty can't even stop me. Look at this candy cane, it's like 2022 Christmas. Ooh. It says in brackets, Monsters vs Aliens Bop GIF. Also, there's this like fucking revolver, bang, bang! I hope that was loud. Maybe. The Mr. Chaos fight starts with this battle against Flurry. He's like an enemy from Cheeseburger Crusade. How you meant to know this? I don't fucking know. He does like these spikes, but they're like super easy to dodge, and Boltoad is also obsessed with using lightning strikes in his boss fights for some reason. They're in like every boss he makes. He also makes his arenas far too big, so like, he just does a ton of attacks to artificially inflate the difficulty that you can't really dodge that way, I don't know. Frost King, he's also kinda generic, with some lightning and spikes and healing angels. It says Library of Rowena on my script, I don't know why I wrote that. And Mr. Chaos, he's just so Z's Christmas edition, yap, we've been over this, but this is spelled RHTIS on my script. He shoots ornaments, don't you love ornaments? What a jolly season, ho ho ho. He also has this evil ass kill break attack that like comes out of nowhere and the ornaments like do this shit, and I think it's kinda cool. More lightning attacks. W Boltoad feels the aura. He also has this dash, and I'm pretty sure he just took it from another boss he made earlier that year, but yeah, cool game, cool boss. Fuck you, Boltoad.
Snow Spirit is a boss that you can find in Goose 4000's random obbies. The attacks of this boss play out a lot like Aradiant Guardian, mainly the flood attack where it spawns in the obbies. This game is honestly pretty underrated and it's sad to see it not get that much attention. Here's just a snippet of the obbies in the game. So yeah, honestly a shame that this game isn't really talked about a whole lot, but that's probably because of the game's progression, which is really hard for whatever reason. I mean, to access this boss, you pretty much have to beat every obby in the area, and some of these can go out to Remorseless or harder. Another thing is that this is probably the first footage of this boss ever released, which kinda just goes to show just how obscure this game is. Futile. Your efforts. For what exactly? You realize that this will never make you whole. You attempt only to worsen yourself. This prison of yours, a self-fulfilling prophecy. Aim for the heavens, they say, but you clip your own wings. the tragedy of the potential. You can only dream of what could have been. So go ahead, shed blood to as many organisms as you wish, but you'll never truly feel content. Alright! You asked for it! Come and get me! A lot, and I really do mean a lot of you guys suggested this boss, and combat initiation in general. This boss was the boss that I was the most intimidated by in the makings of part 2. It's mainly because the thought of doing an already 2-hour-long campaign and then having to beat Dylan Matthew at the very end, knowing full well that he can just throw bullshit at you and your run is just too much for me to bear. The more I played combat initiation in general while grinding to unlock test.exe, the more I realized that maybe Dylan Matthew wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Someone did play the campaign with me, and that's where I got to practice test.exe the most. For context on how bad I thought this was going to be, I thought it was going to be around 7 on the difficulty meter, which would make it harder than Zyrith. After beating Dylan, however, it would end up being a 5.3, which is way easier than Zyrith. Nevertheless, this is still a cool boss to beat, and I'd say a lot of the difficulty comes from the fact that you have to endure 2 hours of test.exe to even reach Dylan in the first place. Never mind. Never mind. Oh, we beat it.
Bro.
Bye, Dylan.
I can't believe Dex from Dex's party beat Dylan.
That's amazing.
W Dex. Like 2 hours. Evil. Evil fucking time right there.
Amazing.
Well, it's only Urio left now. Yeah, 3 hours and 24 minutes. Fucking hell.
God damn.
Welcome to one of the worst bosses ever conceived on this platform. I know a lot of you guys wanted this game in the series, and I don't blame you for that because the game is extremely popular. However, I don't think that popular should immediately conclude that a boss is good. What do I mean by this? Well, Wega Challenge, more specifically Urio, is a boss that you fight in Item Asylum. The goal of the game is to collect Bloodwigs, the idols. You would usually be given 6 lives to do this, however, the perfect run modifier limits you to only 1 life. As you collect the idols, there will be 4 characters that try to kill you. Wega is the first character who spawns when you collect the first idol. All he does is follow you around. Rory's is the second character who spawns when you've collected around 25% of the idols. He will randomly spawn and shoot a barrage of lasers at your direction. Upon touching the lasers, you will take damage and will temporarily slow down. Maltigi is the third character who spawns when you've collected around 50% of the idols. He will charge at you in a straight line. Urio is the fourth and final character who spawns when you've collected 85% of the idols. His movement is extremely weird compared to the other characters, making him the hardest. He will curve around you, which makes dealing with him extremely wonky. The curving works by Urio trying to predict your movement. To deal with this, you want to try baiting his movement prediction, or just run around in circles alongside him.
Anyway, so Megatron is frozen. He's frozen for 100 years or more. And then all of a sudden, the protagonist great-great-great-grandfather.
But it doesn't end there. Maze 2 is another maze that you have to go through and collect idols at. The noticeable difference here is that there are now walls and the layout is more closed off than Maze 1. This maze has 2 floors and there are gaps that you're meant to jump over occasionally, indicated by the red line. This maze personally to me makes Urio easier, however every other character is harder. To a lot of people this maze is a huge roadblock, but honestly I think it's the same difficulty as the first maze.
You're not loud. Oh god, you just so ass. Okay, anyway. See if we can find him.
Yes, I'm
Fuck. Is that for every streaming, sir?
not all of them.
Maze U is the final maze of Wega challenge, where Urio will chase you around for the entire map. The further you get through the maze, the more enemies spawn in to try and kill you. This is basically a nerf check, which I failed.
Can I preview? Oh fuck that, whatever. Anyway. Okay, the glasses! Okay, so this our protagonist has his glasses that have been passed down for generations. Anyway, I gotta find the fucking old man. No.
Okay! It's time for my complaints. This boss is super obviously not made for solo. Yes, there is player scaling, but because of how the enemies function, it doesn't really do much except for maybe Maze 2. Even with that though, it is still significantly easier to play with a stack because idol collection is just faster the more people there are. The movements in this game feel so lackluster. I can't tell you how many times I've failed because of the way the movement works, and because of that, I get screwed over without any of it being my fault. When you wall jump, it feels heavily inconsistent how much height you will gain. I also hate the mechanic where you need to go over the edge of a platform to do stuff, because again, it's inconsistent! It's not even like a, oh, McCool challenge, when I've played stuff in the same genre that should technically be harder than this. All I'm saying is that if the movements in this boss were good, then it would be around guide difficulty, but no! We just have to make the movements as shitty as possible. This is the second worst boss I have played so far, and while yes, you could argue that I could have chosen a different boss, I figured that since Urio is the hardest to do solo, I pretty much had no choice. My final statement on Urio is that it's just not a good boss to play at all. Fuck this boss!
No shift lock. No shift lock.
Yeah, no shift lock.
Okay, no shift lock. Can y'all shut up real quick? Hold on, please. No. I see gonna walk in! I see gonna walk in! Here. Go.
That's fire for me, guys.
I beat Urio! I fucking beat Urio! I fucking beat Urio! It's fucking over, dude!
GG?
GG.
Yeah.
Is it done?
GG.
I beat Urio! It's over!
No more Urio.
Congrats. Okay, now the Horde of O's.
Oh my god, it's done, dude. It's actually fucking done, man. It's actually fucking done.
No shift. So. Oh god.
Okay, everybody go to settings. Click.
As I stand here, at the edge of the universe, my regrets flourish and bloom like a curse. You don't simply walk away from defeating universal threats, do you now? Gosh, I feel ill.